Oops. Well, y'all got to see that wipe.
Sneak preview.
Fix that now. Oh, man.
Boy.
Joe, you're back from vacation.
I am. I'm very excited to be back and getting to talk about a win.
Yeah, right? Hell of
That's
a way
exciting.
to walk back in. Yeah.
I'm saying.
Yeah. We'll get into that in a minute. Till we do, welcome to the Snobby Boys!
I get those goosebumps every time. I need the hype. Throw that to the side. I get those goosebumps every time. Every time. Yeah!
All right, everybody, welcome to the Snobby Boy Podcast. I'm your host, Colby. That's my homeboy, Joe, over there. He's back from vacation. Has a little bit of sun, doesn't he? A little bit.
Look, more on my arms. My arms got more than... I actually did a good job of sunscreening the face and neck.
Were you guys riding the tram around with your fucking arm out?
On one of the last days, we were waiting in a line for a while, and I definitely got a little red and pink on the arms afterwards, and I was like,
what up?
Because it wasn't like absurdly hot down in Florida while we were there. The hottest day was like 80 degrees, I think. So it wasn't
humid at all.
None. Not at all. It was gorgeous.
You lucky bastard. That's the only good time to go down to Florida. It was like this time of year when it's not humid, because Lord have mercy, especially being in the headwaters of the Everglades. When I was 18, I moved down there, and I think it was probably mid-July. Bro, first morning I woke up there, I went out on the back porch in my boxers, and it was holy hell humid.
Very sticky.
My sweat had sweat on it.
That's the best way to describe it down there during those times. 100%. My glisten had glisten on it. My glistening was glistening.
Guys, before we get into it too far, make sure you hit the like, subscribe, notification bells, all that good shit. Make sure you follow us on social media at SnobbyPod. I want to just quickly thank Evan again for coming on last week and filling in. Mad kudos to that. He is going to very soon become more part of the family here. Be on the lookout for that. I'm not going to say too much. Just know that. Just know that.
Just a teaser.
Just a little teaser. Right. Joe, what are we on tonight?
Tonight, we are yammering on about our FA Cup win on Saturday. We will jump into some city updates, some of the things that have popped over the last couple of days since you and Ev were last on. Some drama coming from the La Liga folks. Once again, they can't let shit go. Some Rodri updates, so we'll get a little bit of talking about him. And then we'll wrap up with some bro time, and we'll chat a little bit about what's been going on, because we haven't been face to face talking on the camera with our friends here just us in a week and a half or so. So we'll do some catch up and look ahead to
Heinz
the week, huh?
Heinz. You said catch up.
And that sets the tone for the rest of the show.
Wait, hold on. Did you check the notes down the bottom for what we're talking about, bro time?
I did not.
You didn't? Wait till you see that. That's gonna be fun.
I'm gonna let it be fresh for later.
Don't read it right now.
I'll get that later.
Sauce.
This is facts.
Sauce. Let's go. Yes. So let's get into review about Plymouth Argyle result, shall we? Let's break it open with some Pep presser talk. Pep made quite a few comments in the presser. I happened to miss it this week. Joe caught it, so I'm going to let him lead the trail on this.
Yeah, he definitely dropped some nuggets on us this week.
Yeah, some things that have been said recently in the comments sections and on social medias. This will address it.
Yep. So one of the things we pulled from his presser was Pep talking about Jack and game time. That was a topic from the media. So they talked about why Jack hadn't been getting minutes, hasn't been part of the, first, starting 11 very much. And a big chunk of that had to do with Savinho and Doku just being in great form for the most part for most of the season. And then anytime Jack seemed to get into any kind of quality with time, with performances, he would pick up an injury, a little something that would knock him out for a week or two. So he could never really get and find a rhythm. And that's really the reason why Jack hasn't been, getting the time that people have been asking about, wanting to see from him. Because one, Savinho and Doku, when they've been right, have been very dynamic for us and provide something different that we don't have, which is that pace and directness. So Pep made it very clear why Jack wasn't getting time. He couldn't go every 3 days at this point because of at least this season, just the injury bug was constantly picking up. Every time he would get a good run, play 2 games, 3 games, something would happen. And then he also had other options, out wide. So for this one,
I don't know if he's a sweet chili guy. Is he?
I do like sweet chili.
Oh, is he? All right.
I do like
incorrected.
So Jackie, no big mystery here, but Pep, confirming that he's got younger options that were in better form, and then Jack, much like some of our more senior players on the team this year, just having trouble this year staying healthy for any stretch of time, and just being asked to play, every 3 days was too much for their bodies currently. And that's what all that really is. And I think for a lot of the players is just the past 3 to 4 years of playing 75 matches, a year, playing deep into every competition, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, Champions League. And then all of them are internationals too. So they're playing every international window. So this is just a culmination, I think, of all these guys playing so many minutes, so many games across the last few years, and this season is just catching up to everybody. So made it very clear what's going on with Jack, and I think we all know that, but it's nice just to get some clarity and from him saying it's injuries and those other 2 guys are playing really well, which is a good thing. We like having guys in form and making it hard for Pep to make selections pretty much. So
Take that how you will, peeps.
Yep. Also, he mentioned and pointed out 2 guys in particular with celebrations of their teammates' goals. He talked about Maka and John Stone's body language. And when he sees things like that, he makes him understand how much the club and playing for the club means to those kind of guys. So when he's picking out like how guys are celebrating their teammates' goals, you can tell that Pep is still, to me, like locked in, and he notices like everything. So even little things like celebrating your teammates goes a long way into him and how he's making decisions on who's going to stay long term, who's going to get minutes, who's going to get first off the bench. It's not just, there's so many things that Pep's taking into account. It's not just practice or performance in games. He's looking at the big picture with the boys. So I love that he notices things like that and takes into account how they are interacting and celebrating their teammates. I think that's super important. Yeah, it's so rude, Steven. Golly, man, how dare you be late to the show, bro?
The hell.
Daughter had a birthday party with Okay, well there you.
No excuses. Play like a champion. Just fucking with you, man.
Pep also reiterated how important Champions League football is next season, and keeping our spot in that top 4, probably top 5 at this point. But just maintaining Champions League spots are super important. And referenced some of the intentionally, I think, some of the names that got thrown out over the past week or so. Jack, Bernie, Kevin, Ederson, Stones, those kind of guys were being thrown around as they're definitely leaving at this point. And Pep took this opportunity to, like, without saying it, like, these guys have meant an incredibly large amount to the club. Steve.
Shane Bell.
Right? Giving him the dunce cap right there. So Pep took this opportunity to kind of also reference some of those guys and say, we couldn't have accomplished all of the things that we have over the last few years without them. So let's not
Who cares what you think, Wabi?
Oh, he's back again.
Yeah,
Goodness
he's
gracious.
back again.
So he, not letting the media paint the story about those players. He's letting folks know that we're not just putting them out to pasture right away, and keeping in mind all the good things that they've done, since there's negativity happening. And then the last thing was the fun part of the presser for me was watching the journalist there trying to get an answer out of Pep regarding the Javier Tebas question. Every time they asked him about it, he just said, next. So he would refuse to answer any questions around what's going on there. He said after, UEFA has tried to get us, Premier League's currently going on, we probably will be getting an answer on the sentencing, whatever that might be, in the next month or so. He said after that happens, and it's been revealed, then they'll talk about it. But he was not having any kind of conversation around that noise. So just seeing if he don't want to talk about something, he ain't gonna talk about it. You can ask him 5 different ways about the same thing. The man is well experienced in press conferences, and he knows how to navigate that shit. So he was not trying to have any of that kind of conversation. We will dive a little bit deeper into the whole Tebas La Liga shit a little bit later.
Yeah.
Got lots of fun things to say about that one.
Yeah, that would be
so Pep gave us a lot of good, per usual. I mean, most pressers that he does, he usually gives us a lot, but this particular one on Friday seemed to give us some good insight into what he's thinking behind the scenes and everything. So super good that we talked about this one a little bit, because yes. Yes. Yes, I see what you did there.
People who like La Liga, they're glory hunters.
Yes,
they are glory hunters.
Yes, and for if you're over on our side of the pond, when folks who support La Liga teams, i.e. Barcelona and Real Madrid, try to come at us for being glory hunters and picking Manchester City as our team. You don't understand how hypocritical you are when you picked the 2 best clubs in European history.
It's like a Mexican dude starting to like the NFL just chose the fucking Patriots.
Right. So it's nonsense when people do that. I'm like, dude, well, my dad liked him. I don't give a shit. Who liked what? That means he was the original glory hunter in your family, and you just are carrying on said glory hunter legacy. So just it's ridiculous. So let's jump into the starting 11.
Yes.
Pretty heavy rotation from the midweek game. Some out of necessity, some not. Pep was clearly giving some of the big guns the game off, and with on paper a lesser team. You want to give some of your other guys the opportunity to shine. I really like the balance between old and young. We had some of our young dudes in Nico O'Reilly and Vitor Hayes getting some run and Bacca, but they had plenty of support, I guess, if you will, with some of the older guys to kind of keep things calm. I was not super thrilled when I saw the lineup and saw going with the false nine. I don't mind it, but when you do have two strikers, i.e. Marmouche and Holland, there really isn't a need to go false nine in this situation. And then with Bernie and Jack, we've talked about this quite a bit. When they play the wings, it's just too similar on both sides. There's no dynamism. It's not very dynamic on the wings when we have both of them out there because they both play very similar styles. So it's like I saw that and I was like, there's not a lot of pace out there for our boys, nor is there really any size outside of Nico O'Reilly.
I mean, even Vitor Hayes is like
he's 5'11", 6 feet.
He's just pushing 6 foot.
Yeah, and so O'Reilly was the only guy with any kind of size out there. So I was like, all that being said, I felt like it would have been enough to carry us through fairly comfortably against a team that's in the relegation zone of the championship. Granted, they've beaten Brentford. Granted, they've beat Liverpool last round. But with what we had out there, I felt like we would have enough still to go through. So,
yeah.
How about you, my friend?
Yeah, the stacked bench. I saw that coming.
Yeah,
I did. I saw that.
Quite the names there.
How it was going to be arranged, I couldn't call it. I could definitely tell you that Ortega was going to be between the pipes. Mm-hmm. I thought Kushinov definitely deserved the rest. He has been playing nonstop since he's got here. I mean, homeboy doesn't even take a travel bag with him. That's how laser focused he is. Yeah. For what was put together, especially in the attack, I was very happy with what happened. Mm-hmm. I didn't see it happening that way at all. But I really felt like the good mixture of veteran and youth was good because it was kind of like, who the fucking boss is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Especially with Kev out there. Both him and Gunda surprised me for starting.
I can't translate into I thought cushion.
All right, listen. You're getting put away for the night. Nobody was talking to you. Stay in your lane.
Weren't we just talking about AI pre-show?
Listening.
I'm saying.
I'm listening. No. Yeah, Gunda being in, I think for all of us, it's been a case of, oh fuck, here he is again. He's clearly Pep's fave for some reason. We've said that 100,000 times, I think, already this season. That worried me to hell. I was really actually happy to see Nico at left back. I have been kind of wondering what is going to be made of him, and the fact that he's been able to go from the pivot role into a defensive role, such as left back, and also be able to be play up in the attack. I was really, really, really impressed with his whole performance, but happy initially just to see him and getting minutes because I feel like there's a lot of players on our team that kind of get forgotten amongst all the names. There's a lot in our system. We really don't need to be looking everywhere else. Anyways, I thought it was awesome to see him in the starting. The false nine, fuck the false nine. I haven't wanted to see false nine since the last time we saw the false nine. It doesn't work well. Just like Steve said, Foden don't work well with the false nine because he's not really a nine. You can't really play him that way because it doesn't work out that way. You could probably play Jack as a 9.
Yeah,
Jack
he
would
would
be
have
a
been
better
a
9.
better fit there.
Yeah, than having Foden fill it in. And I think there was a lot of it that was they were just trying to rotate centrally between Bernie, Maka, Grealish, Foden. Again, it was fun to see the youth and the age put together. I liked how crisp everything was as we get into the match.
Yeah, and we saw as soon as Holland came on and Phil got pushed into his more natural position, he looked like a different player. He was way more
You're like,
impactful.
well,
Yes, exactly. Imagine that. So that I was very happy to see one, Holland come on, and two, seeing Phil in his, because that's what you do is when you take him and put him in the false 9, he's serviceable there. But when you put him in his natural position, he turns into a world-class player, and that's what you need. You need, especially in the way the flow of the game was going.
I think he's dead, man.
Bernie needs a long vacation, I think.
Bernie needs a very long vacation. That or his woman needs to rub one on him or something. I don't know. Maybe he ain't been getting none lately. That's why he's a little uptight. A little
Hey,
just
you
saying.
never know. Exactly. Excuse me.
Steve. Really?
It worked back like 2-3 years ago when we needed it to.
When we
those
needed it to, right.
And then the players that were also running it were significantly younger. So they had a little bit and a little more hunger because, we were still in that peak going for it for everything. So
You're also
now,
coming out of the Aguero era.
yes, we literally, the striker we had was Gabby Jesus, and he asked numerous times to play on the wing and then would whine that he wasn't playing striker, which I don't understand. I never understood that from him at that time.
Never forget about it.
JSP, he's been doing very well with the younger lads.
Yes, he has.
They've been running shit, so that's great.
He's captain, yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
So for this one, instead of running down like the match, we kind of highlighted, let's see, about 5-6 players that we wanted to talk through. So let's start off talking about one that we didn't hit too much when talking about the lineup. Let's talk a little bit about Kev. He's still capable of these types of performances. He scores that. He and Holland combined for the third and nailing the coffin goal for us. He sets up Nico for goal number 2 that took the lead. He can still put a ball into the box. It's not as frequently anymore. He used to always put, all of them would be like that. Yeah. But we don't have somebody still, and most people don't. Let's be real. Like most teams don't have guys like him because he's one of one. But man, when he puts those delightful balls in like that, nobody else can do that. So he still can be a very, very valuable person and player for us going forward. And I think one of the things that I like the most from him in this match was oftentimes now that he's a little older, he kind of lets the other guys kind of do the running for him at times. When you get a little older, you've earned that a little bit, the Messis and stuff like that. But it seemed like frequently he was doing the hard work both sides of the ball. He was picking up the ball out wide. He was almost playing as the winger at times. So it was nice seeing I wouldn't say vintage Kev performance, but it was a much better performance than we've seen from him at times this season. And at the end, once he scored that winner, the fans were like really hyping him up, and Holland, being the guy that he is, like forced him over to like go over and acknowledge almost. And it was like a really nice moment for me. Like Kev doesn't like show emotion too often with us. So to see him going over to the fans and like acknowledging their love for him,
Right.
it was a nice moment for me. Like I felt that one in my chest when I saw that happen.
Do you think that Kev is slightly becoming Roy Kent?
I like
Are
it.
we gonna see him like blow his fucking knee out and just end his fucking career this season?
I sure hope not.
I hope not either. I'm not trying to fucking dial that up either, but
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, Kev felt good to me.
Yeah.
Second half, Kev, and you know what was really wild? This was the first time he's played 90 fucking minutes.
Mm-hmm. No subs for him this time.
No,
That's hopefully a good sign that he's feeling more like himself.
Hopefully, especially as we go into the tail end of the season, knowing all what's at stake and what we need to do just to stay in the top four. He's going to come with. I mean, there's going to be a lot of attachments, but he's going to prove necessary going into the end of the season. We need his leadership. We need somebody like him out on the pitch that is guiding the attack a little bit. Suffice it to say that the communication amongst all of the forwards, we said this a few episodes ago, communication amongst all the forwards isn't top tier yet. People have not been able to have consistent time together to create that relationship. A lot of our signings that have just come in, I mean, especially the ones obviously with language barriers, which are slowly getting broken down, which I think is super awesome. But that was a sidebar. Going back into it, I think that Kev looked really, really good in this one. It felt like, not like you said, it wasn't exactly a vintage Kev thing, but you saw glimpses of like Kevin of old. If we can just keep getting that out of him, I don't want 90 minutes out of him again. I'll tell you that. That scared me. Probably about by like the 60th minute, I was like,
especially what we saw happen with Ake.
Yeah.
Especially after that.
Homeboy's old.
Yeah. I don't mind. We've talked about this before on the pod. I don't mind Kev for another year if all sides agree that, one, he's not necessarily auto start all the time, and we use him much like Real uses Modric at this point. He's somebody who plays, big matches from the start, but gets pulled after 60, or he comes in late to seal a game off in the last like 25, 30 minutes. But I think he can still be a difference maker for us, but we have to understand it's not going to be every match. He's not going to be doing, games every 3 days. He's not going to play 35 out of the 38 Premier League matches. Like he's still somebody who can be serviceable and helpful for us, but we have to, one, limit the minutes as much as possible and utilize him in the right way. And I think if everybody agrees to that, plus maybe he understands he's not going to be back on 400K a week, that would also be a big help, I think. But I'm okay with a 1-year extension if everybody kind of understands what his role going forward is going to be. But if he doesn't and wants to try out other places, that's cool too.
Yeah. Same thing goes with Gundo, but we'll get to that here in a hot second.
Yes. Next up, let's talk Jackie Boy. We mentioned him a little bit. Maybe different spot might have helped him out a little bit, but for me, it was kind of up and down for me with Jack. He had some really good moments where he was taking people on. He was quick with his decision making. He picked up the ball and made a decision. But then we also saw often on the flip side of that, where he'd pick the ball up, he'd receive a pass, and
So it
just it would stick with his feet. He wouldn't be making a quick decision. He would take a couple of touches, wouldn't really go anywhere, or he'd pick it up and just dribble for a while, like across the pitch. And folks know ball moves quicker than a person. And when you're just dribbling across, it doesn't put the defense in a difficult position. They can just track you. Everybody kind of shifts, and there's not a lot of movement happening. And when the other team is playing 2 banks of 5 for the entire fucking match, if you're just dribbling across the middle of the pitch, it doesn't make them work very hard. So when Jack was aggressive and got the ball, went and was diversifying his attack, going to his left and using his left to put the ball across and keeping the defender on their toes, it was really good Jack. But there was other times too where I felt like it was too much of either uncertainty, or he just wasn't confident in what he wanted to do with the ball at the time, and it stuck a little bit too long for him, which slowed down the whole pace. And again, like I mentioned, when the other team is playing 2 sets of 5 within 7 yards of each other, the dribbling piece isn't going to work. You have to move the ball quicker. You got to rotate. You got to do long switches of like the keeping and just facing up a guy and trying to cut in on your right into all of the crowd of people. That ain't gonna work. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We need somebody who's going to attack wide and take people on as soon as they pick the ball up, so the defense couldn't get set.
Nobody needs Jack in the box. Nobody.
We talking about Grealish, or are we talking about?
I'm feeling like there's alluding to Jack in the Box, the restaurant here, but maybe that's just me taking it that way.
The good thing about having it, if we're talking about Grealish, up inside of that space, is he frustrates people, so they usually kick out at him. So the more he's in and around the penalty area, the better for the opportunities to pick up fouls and dangerous places, because we have guys that can hit it, both Jacks. So
Stu likes the White Castle.
And who doesn't?
I mean, if I were to choose between Jack in the Box and White Castle, it's far and away White Castle.
Facts.
But I know what White Castle has done to me, and I have to say that it's far worse than what Jack in the Box has done to me.
Fair.
You know?
Yes.
I have a fun story about that movie. We'll talk about it later.
I love it.
We'll talk about it later.
I love it.
For
anything to add with Jackie, or
for me, Jack, I felt like it took him some time to get off the ground running a little bit.
Yep.
I think he gets in his head a little bit when he gets out there, especially not having had solid play time in literally a little over a season and a half now. I thought he progressed well. I thought there were times where he looked himself. Thought there were other times where I thought he looked defeated. And I don't know what it's going to take for him to get his spirits back. Obviously, for most and any competitors, it's obviously the reward of playtime. We have so much going on within the squad right now that it's really hard to show your worth, because we know what's working. And that's just the type of coach Pep is. He goes with what works. It's not necessarily all the time how well you did in training. The trainings right before that match. It could be a culmination of all of them over a certain period of time. You know, obviously what's worked on the pitch during matches is what you're going to be comfortable sticking with, or trying to implement, or trying to pair together. But on the whole, I was happy to see him get the time. I love Jack, both as a player and a human being. So I hope that with after this, match, he starts getting some more looks, and maybe helping balance out the attack a little bit instead of keeping it so direct. I mean, with all that pace, at times it's kind of like you can throw all that at the wall, but it ain't gonna stick. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Just because of how fast you threw it. Um, so I like him being around. I like him staying with the team. The idea of him staying with the team just for that fact alone. Not only that, but he knows what it takes to win because he's been there. He may have not performed in all of it, but he certainly saw it happen. He knows what it looks
Mhm.
like. He knows what it feels like. So I would rather keep somebody like that around. I think there's still a lot more left out of that we can get out of him. But anyways, yeah, on the match, pretty good, pretty good. My guy, Nico O'Reilly, though,
That boy had himself a game.
he had the most massive game he could have possibly had, especially being in the position he was in. I felt he did really, really, really good for us. I think that maybe this needs to start being thought as an option at this point. His size and his ability up, especially if we're going to push him up into the attack, like we've used Yasko.
Mm-hmm.
Why not let him be a rotation piece with Yasko? Maybe in times where we're down a guy in the middle, if we get rid of some guys, we're down a guy in the middle. He's the guy that we fill into the left. Not only that, but we've seen him work well in the pivot.
Mm-hmm.
He is what Pep looks for in a player. You need to be versatile, and he is that on two defensive fronts. Not only that, but he can play in the attack.
There is so much to like about him.
So much.
The versatility. He when Nunez went from playing in the midfield to playing at the right back position, you could see he was not super comfortable there at times. Nico seems fairly well settled. You know what I mean? Like when he's been in at left back, I've had no concerns defensively when he's been there at all. And then once we gained a foothold in possession, and that allowed him to get up in that middle, get up in that middle, get up all in there. But she like
nasty.
Once he got it forward and was in, like I said, he was the only one with any kind of size. So getting him in the box for those crosses, super important. It was interesting that when he scored that first one, there was like very little celebration from like anybody. Anybody else? Do you guys notice that too? Like we went in, like that was a very important goal at the time. Going in at half, down 1-0, very different team talk than if you're tied 1-1. And he was like very subdued. It was like, dude, it's only your second goal if you scored for City. Like it's okay to celebrate a little bit more than that. Yeah. And then when he scored the second one to put us to the go-ahead goal, got a little more emotion and celebration out of him, which you love to see. But he's got all the things you look for in a player. He's got pace, he's got size, he's strong, he's technically sound, and he can play in a variety of positions. Yeah. It's one of those things where you see performances like this from him and you're like, why haven't we played him more in the pivot or in the midfield, knowing how much difficulty we've had with a lack of athleticism and size in that space without Rodri. You know, it's like, I'm not trying to second guess folks. Pep knows more about football than I'll ever know. He's forgotten more about it probably than I'll ever know. But it's like, why haven't we given him, much like you said, like guys kind of get lost in the shuffle at times because of all the names. It's like, man, like he's somebody we probably could. I'm imagining a Rodri, what it looks like with Rodri there, with Nico out there, with both Nicos. Like, right. We suddenly have all kinds of size and athleticism. Yes, Nico. Yeah, exactly. Little Gonzo, little O'Reilly. And Rodri.
O'Reilly. Listen, that's a DMV area. If you don't know, you don't know.
Ryan knows.
Ryan knows.
So
Chad knows too.
Chad, yes, Chad should know too. We cannot let him walk and let these other clubs come in and swoop for him. There was some Chelsea interest allegedly in the January window. We cannot let him go. We need yes. Hey,
He knows.
Stephen knows.
Stephen Smith knows. That's right.
Attaboy.
All right.
We cannot let Nico go for a big fee. I think he's definitely somebody we need to keep around because of his versatility.
He can play both the 8 and the 6, so it's like
Mm-hmm.
I don't. Yeah, he's somebody you got to keep around for a little while because
And he's turning into somebody you can serviceably play at left back, and we don't have one. We have Yashko. That's it.
Well, Nico. Sorry, we're on different Nikos.
Oh, you're on Gonzo. Yeah. Yes. Gonzo can play. He can play next to Roger. He can play in front of him. There's lots of stuff to like there too.
Yeah.
So, man, like that's exciting. Bunch of guys 6'2", 6'3", that got pace, that are physical. They ain't gonna be bullying us around anymore. That's for sure.
Let's talk about Pep's favorite,
Gundo.
You really had some brightness for him. I'm gonna let you go in on that.
I was pleasantly surprised. This was a much better performance from Gundo than I have seen pretty much all season. He was dictating play. He was the one creating, maybe not creating, but he didn't finish them, but he was popping up in all of the right places. In the first half, probably should have scored at least one of them, but he was probably our most dangerous attacker in that first half of the match. And I saw him working harder off the ball when we lost possession than I had in the past. The final goal from Holland and Kevin, that started from him hitting a beautifully lofted long ball over the top for Holland to chase. So for me, obviously Nico O'Reilly gets that first star. He scored 2 goals from a left back position, and it's your second and third goal for the
not
club.
on the bingo card.
No, nobody had that on the bingo card. So obviously he's definitely man of the match. But for me, Gundo was right there with him with his play. Yeah. So I was very pleasantly surprised with him. He's taken a lot of flack from a lot of people over the course of this season because of his play, because of the things he's been asked to do, because of the injuries, because of not having a proper 6 and him having to play out of position and just getting older. Time is undefeated. Father Time is undefeated. So it was nice to see someone that we all hold such fond memories for because of all the things that he's done for the club in the past. Having him and Kevin kind of at the same time, having really good matches and showing that they can still be valuable in certain instances. It's up to Pep to put them in positions where they can be most successful considering their ability level and their age at this time. You know what I mean? You got to find the proper spots for them to be utilized. And if you put them in positions where they're not going to be successful, that's not a great situation. And it's just setting them up for criticism from fans, from the journos and all those kind of things. So yeah. I was very happy that Gundo had a good performance, especially after it was mentioned and bantered around that he might be activating his 1-year extension for next year. I don't think anything's been decided, but people, the media starts throwing around that the extension might be activated potentially already. We'll see what happens there, but I was just happy for Gundo because he's been great for us, and you never want to see your legends kind of continually taking shots because of poor performances or whatever. So I was happy for the guy.
Yeah. Again, like I said at the beginning, every time I see him on the starting 11, I'm weary.
Mm-hmm.
He has not
Same.
had a stellar run. And with this being the only competition we have left, and the only feasible trophy at this point, I really didn't want to see him get the go. I wanted to see a little bit more youth, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But the way that Pep set it all up, it was the perfect mixture of youth and age, more heavy on the youth, which is nice. On the whole, yes, he did much better than anybody expected him to do. Obviously, me in saying that, and I have to give him his flowers in this one, so I will. Kudos to how he carried himself, carried the team at point. Not carry the team. That's a little much. Carried the weight of his position. Knew what he had to do.
That's a good way of putting it.
That's the best way I'm going to be. That's the best way I'm going to be able to put it. Next guy up in the list of things is, one that I honestly didn't see him getting the start in this one. Maybe sometime later on was Vitter Hayes. I was very, very impressed with the way he looked. Very calm, very cool, very collected, very. It's like he had already been there.
Mm-hmm.
No worries, no complaints. His size, for what we're used to our defenders being, is obviously a bit of a concern, though it's far and above Rico Lewis. I hate to say it.
Got a few inches on him.
Got a few inches on him. I understand that's nothing we control. We shouldn't be fucking making fun of people who have height problems, Joe.
I didn't say shit.
I know. I'm the one making the critique, and I'm the small one. Yeah, very, very excited with his overall performance. Just, it's really nice to see these guys coming into the side and really they're soaking it up and they're hungry and they want to be there, and it's not just I'm out here again, just because you see a lot of the guys, especially going back a month and a half, maybe 2 months, everybody was just running through the motions. It felt like either we're all the way in or we've been all the way out. There hasn't really been an even ground. But seeing the guys come into it like this is really, really nice. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I knew he was technically sound coming to us, and I knew he would be good in possession when we had the ball. Close.
Very close.
Throw some cowboy boots on with little heels. You're
I'm definitely, dude. If I put my slides on, my foam slides, bro, I'm a whole inch and a half taller. I feel like
there it is.
I feel like a giant when I put those things on. Not in a 6'7" giant, but
It's better.
it's better.
But what really impressed me was his feistiness and his physicality. He was not at all afraid to mix it up with their players. He was grabbing, pushing, shoving. Exactly. But his physicality, he was not getting bullied, because when he came, we knew he was a little. I won't say he's a little slender. He's a thinner dude. He's not Ruben Diaz, where you can see like he's muscled up and everything. But
you meant to type 7 there.
So I was excited to see that he didn't back down from anybody. He's got a little bit of feistiness in him. I love that from my defenders. So seeing him, one, possess the ball really well, and we ask our center backs to do a lot in possession. But so I was just excited that I got to see him being feisty, mixing it up, and not backing down for anybody. So I love that already from him. And I'm really glad that he got the run out there. I'm glad Kushinoff has been settling because they both look very comfortable so far. Because right now, them two and Ruben Diaz are the only healthy center backs we got. Because Nathan Ake, unfortunately, picked up another knock in the first half, and it appears that this one is going to be an extended absence from what I was reading, and he's going to be out for a bit. So that puts the two of the three that we've talked about ad nauseum all season. Stonesy, Ake, and we know Akanji's out for a bit, so those three will not be available moving forward. I would have a hard time seeing any of them seeing meaningful minutes over the next couple months. It's those two are going to get a lot of minutes going forward, and there will be growing pains. So I hope everybody understands that now. Like, they're not all going to be great performances. They're going to see some growing pains, and that's okay. We already know what this season is going to be. Hopefully, considering the draw and the teams left in the FA Cup, I think that's a reasonable thing to aspire to. Keeping top four, as long as those things happen, whatever mistakes they make, it's just going to make them all the better for next season. They're going to get the next 10 to 20 games that we have left to really get some time. And Ruben's not going to be able to play all of those, so there might be times where we see both of them out there at the same time. Because of availability, we can't have Ruben run because he's also been picking up, injuries throughout this season too. So we can't have him playing every single match. So you would like to have him with just one of them for his leadership and presence back there. But they're going to get baptized by fire at this point, and they're going to get a lot of good time. So you have to like that. I hope. I hate seeing. We're going to have some turnover, obviously. I hope that Ake gets back and we can see him again. I fear, though, that this might have been his last time in a City shirt, because I don't think we're keeping Stones and Ake going forward because of their availability at this point, their age, all those things doesn't lead to signing further contracts. Usually that means it's time to look for more reliable options, and it stinks because Nathan's been a awesome servant to the club, and I hope that him walking off limping isn't the last sight that we see of him in a City kit. But in reality, that might be the case considering where we're at. And you hate to see it, but I don't want to remember him that way. I remember him clearing balls off the line and chasing people down and all those good things. So
unfortunately, it's the nature of the business.
Yeah.
This is the part where you kind of have to dehumanize it a little bit.
Yeah.
To an extent. But at the same point in time, what he's done for us since he's come over from Bournemouth, it's been a steady improvement year to year for him. Unfortunately, just like you said, injuries have been his bugaboo with us, and it's not kept him consistent in the side. So I won't be hurt if he goes. Not out of any sort of dislike or malice, simply for the fact that we have growing stars within our defense at this point, and we're going to need the room for them to stretch their legs. At some point, they are more so the future than Ake will be. So, is what it is. Happy for him that he's been with us for as long as he has been. It will be sad to see him go, but it is only for the betterment of the club and the team and moving forward, because I know at the beginning of the season I was one of the first ones that was like, y'all motherfuckers with this whole rebuild shit, blah 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 blah. Well, I was made to eat my words this season. This is the first season since I've been podcasting that I've been made to eat my words in that fashion. I'm glad that I did, because it's a bit of a humbling moment, not gonna lie. But I guess you just can't win them all, right?
You cannot.
You cannot win them all.
And nobody could have foreseen this level of injury crisis
No.
and loss of form from our star
Wow.
players.
In part, you
At
could
the
have.
Not at the same time. Like you could
No.
probably see a dip, but to see all of this happen at one time, like normally you'd see a drop in form a little bit, but to have that happen on top of everybody being fucking hurt all season, can't predict that.
No.
So
No, not at all.
it is what it be.
Man of the match for you.
Got to go Nico with an honorable mention to Gundo and Kev for their throwback performance and turning back the clock a little bit. But Nico, 2 goals, solid defense, tied it up and took the go ahead goal, both from headers. Come on now, gotta be Nico.
Yep. Far and away, he takes home the cake for man of the match. Stellar performance for him. From him, he showed why he's a viable piece for the first team. I hope that Pep takes this into consideration moving forward. I know not every player is going to be anointed after one game, and I don't want Pep to do that in that fashion, but certainly to consideration more so than he has been going forward would be nice to see.
Steve, I do want to mention this particular comment too. It's perfectly said. We relied a little bit on sentimentality with our older players last season to get us through this one, and it definitely cost us this year. So business decisions need to happen this time to put us back where we belong. So
we got very comfortable with this winning team. I mean, a lot of these, not a lot, I mean, most of them, these were the players that we saw won the treble, won 4 in a row, 5 in one season, really. It was hard to see this team be disbanded, knowing the dominance that they had. And yeah, being sentimental, I think, was a lot of people's hiccup this season. They were so comfortable and happy with the product that we had and what has been put out on the pitch over these last couple of seasons. Suffice it to say, this is the type of game where most things don't last very long. And rotation is heavily needed. It's more so than what I see in most sports. Because if you think about it, if you're going to compare basketball and soccer, football, you're gonna see a lot of rotation in those teams. It's very rare that you see a team stick together for a long period of time, especially when you have several dominant pieces that contracts don't last, emotions, big heads, if you will, typically get
egos.
Egos, for sure. So it's just time. It's time to move on from that period. It's time to set our eyes on the horizon of what's to come. We have a lot of youth that's come in. We're going to get more. We're obviously going to probably get in some more class players, higher class players in this coming off season. So we'll see. It's going to be very, very interesting with all the pieces that we currently have and what we'll be doing. We'll be doing here in the transfer. You fucking used it, you son of a bitch. Cubes. For those of you that don't know, Ryan's one of our really good friends. We have a group chat. Nobody should see that group chat ever.
It's gonna stay where it belongs.
It's gonna stay right in the mailbox. But hey, when we come back, we're gonna talk about stuff that's been going on with City. Mainly this Javier Tebas bullshit. He coming out of his mouth sideways. A few things Fabrizio said and some other shit. We will be right back.
Get with the done turn up the
You know, Stu, I did. I did after I knew that it was hurting a child's ears. I did do it, okay? But secondly, Stu, why you gotta throw me out there like that, bro? The fuck, man? Listen,
Oh my lord.
Harper's Ferry, you better watch out, bro. No, I'm just kidding. I did, old man.
I would hope not.
Seriously,
fucking
I
Christ.
hope not. Let's might have to call CPS on your ass. You're not wrong, probably. I've done a lot. Experimental, I promise, not habitual. But yeah,
I like that word.
habitual.
Habitual. Fun word to say.
There was one that was habitual for a while. I won't lie.
Okay.
Good.
Oh, Mr. Ageist. Yeah,
I
am.
Listen,
Oy.
I should, you do have the time and the longevity on the club. I shouldn't bark at the man. Steve is he said weeding it out. Ha ha ha. He. I called us out.
The both of
I
us.
mean, hey, if I ever want to go have some fun, I know whose neighbor hit up, right? Anyways,
Anywho.
any whoosies. Let's get into city and community news. Javier Tebas has revealed the Liga have an active case with the European Commission submitted in 2023, accusing City of causing a serious distortion to the internal market of the European Union by receiving foreign subsidies from the UAE, allowing the club to enhance its competitive position and sign top-tier players under normal market conditions. Boo fucking who?
And it's just factually incorrect. We haven't signed a lot of players over the last 2 years.
We really haven't.
What the fuck
The
are we
most-
talking
we-
about here?
We literally, with just this window, we equaled the amount of signings that we've had in 2 years.
So, what the hell is he?
Listen, okay. Here's what I will suggest. Javier Tebas not live for the rest of his life, because without you spending money on all the products that you buy that are petroleum based, which is literally everything that we have in life at this point, you don't get to talk. Until you stop buying everything, you don't get to talk. because you're paying them to allow us to spend said money, right? Because that's the way that sounds.
They spent damn near the same amount that we spent this window on one player's signing bonus when they signed Mbappe. They acted like they didn't spend on Mbappe because he was a free transfer. Homeboy, y'all threw an absurd amount of cash on his signing bonus because it wasn't going to count against your books because there's no transfer fee there. So, things I would like to say.
Bro,
But tell me you're not a little bit racist by throwing the UAE thing in there without telling us.
anytime that you bring up the oil money thing in general, it says a lot about you. And
Yeah.
if that's your go-to, you're A, jealous. Like, I know that. I already know that.
100%.
B, like, you're like I just pointed out, like your argument to it is null and void because everything you buy on a day-to-day basis, you're supplying us and them. So until you're not, shut the fuck up.
It's just it's jealousy over the fact that we won a domestic treble. We finally won a Champions League, and we won 4 in a row. And City's getting all this attention from other parts of the globe. They're becoming a bigger global brand, and they don't like that we're taking attention away from their two.
Bears.
They don't like it. So this is so completely baseless that it's just absolutely ridiculous. Yeah.
Why does Mbappe look like a turtle?
Pizza Dude's got 30 seconds. 100%. He's a Ninja Turtle. So it's just I when I saw this come across, I was like, this cannot be real life right now. We're really not having the same conversation. Like Pep said, UEFA already tried to get us for this and failed. The Premier League's trying to do it too, and doesn't look like they're going to be successful either. So you think like you doing this random investigation thing is really going to accomplish anything but make yourself look like a tool bag? That's all you're doing here. That's all you're doing. So it's absolutely ridiculous. What he needs to be doing is taking care of business within his own league. Namely, his big money team, Real Madrid, who just got fined, and it wasn't a lot, but 30,000 euros, and had a partial seat closure for the next round of the Champions League when they have their home match for homophobic chants that their fans directed at Pep during the second leg of our match. So, Mr. Tebas, you should be worrying more about cleaning up the racist and homophobic shit that goes on within your own league than coming after Man City, which has no bearing on what's going on with your team. You have more important shit to be dealing with by letting your fans run amok like that. These kind of things happen to Vinicius Jr. all the time in Spain. Happens all the time to some of their other players. And throwing a $30,000 fine at Real Madrid, who fucking prints money at times, and a partial seat closure, which amounts to like 500 fans, 500 seats, when you just built a brand new gigantic stadium that seats, 70,000 people?
It literally is 5 levels below just
Yes.
your fucking pitch.
Yes. So like, don't act like you're actually taking a stand. Like we find them in a partial seat closure. You ain't doing shit about the stuff that you really need to be worried about, and you're spending valuable time and lawyer dollars trying to come at City for something petty like this, but you can't even deal that shit. Like, priorities are clearly not in aligned with that dude.
Oh, I'll check on you tomorrow via email. Hope all is well. I don't like that, but like I said, I hope all is well. I'll check in on you tomorrow. Rest easy, brother. Um, yeah, I just find it funny. Like he wants to look around and find a problem,
Mm-hmm.
and he's not looking in his own backyard. But he doesn't have a problem looking over everybody else's fence. But it's always the wrong fence. You're looking over the wrong fence. So I just the level of hypocrisy that comes with it, but also just the unsurmountable amount of jealousy that you're not the top grossing club in the world and you have to go throw a temper tantrum to a European commission.
That's what this amounts to be.
You're
A
a
temper
bitch.
tantrum.
You're
Yes.
you're just a whiny little bitch. That it's your league isn't the one getting all the good deals as far as TV goes and stuff like that. You become boring.
You have
There's
3
not
clubs that anybody pays attention to.
there's not a lot of great football going on there, and you have one team that just signs all the fucking names. 2 kind of. I think there's better talent on the red and blue team than there is on the white team. I'm not going to lie. Growing talent rather
Yes,
than already established
absolutely.
talent. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Absolutely.
Yeah, the Premier League is the coup de grace. It is the cream of the crop. It is the king of the mountain when it comes to this game, and he's pissed about it. That's all this really is. And he's choosing this team to throw it out. Because I can guarantee you, if it was United or if it was Arsenal or if it was Liverpool, maybe not. Maybe not Liverpool. I can guarantee that the stick would be thrown at them if it was them in the form that we've been in over the last decade.
Mm-hmm.
They're ruining the game for us. That's all it sounds
Try
like.
some more.
Seriously. On some other shit, like we were talking about earlier, according to Fabrizio, City is looking to activate Gundo's contract extension. How do we really feel about this?
I'd be okay if he took his services to Turkey or shifted into the coaching realm. As much as I gave him kudos for his performance yesterday, I would rather see minutes that Pep clearly wants to give him go towards Gonzo, to O'Reilly, to another young midfielder we might decide to bring in, Echeverry. I would rather see those guys eat up those minutes than continue to give them to an aging Gundo at this point. So I hope that if either he activates or the club, I'm not sure if it's a player option or a club option.
Contract that activates it.
Okay. Well, so I hope
Some amount of performances, I believe, is what
like a performance bonus kind of thing, where if he hits a certain number of games or a certain number of minutes or something like that, then it automatically kicks in.
Yep.
If he does come back, I hope it's more in the vein that I mentioned with Kev. Spot minutes here and there, be a presence in the locker room, much like a Scott Carson, where he's not getting a lot of game time, but he's good for the locker room. He's good on in the training grounds, helping grow the guys that way, and spot minutes here and there in the Carabao Cup in the early rounds, in the FA Cup in the early rounds. That would be fine, but not a whole lot of time for me for Gundo moving forward. I hope, like I said, that the younger guys get those minutes, because Pep seems to want to give him regular time, and I hope the other guys end up being the ones that get it going forward instead of him.
Well, and if that role is going to end up being his, that means Scotty C got to go.
I think that's about time for that too.
He's got to go. As great as he's been as a mentor for the club, especially for the younger players, Kushinov being one of them.
Yep.
I think that's great, but it's time that level of responsibility is given to somebody else within the club, one that's had well, I won't say more winning years because he's been along the ride for those winning years, but has been more involved in those winning years.
It's been more of a contributor
Yes.
on the pitch.
Yes. I'm super happy, and I've said this before he went to Barcelona, that I would be happy with him coming back in a coaching role, especially considering that he spent a bit of time in the treble season with the EDS coaching.
Mm-hmm.
I think he fits in that type of position well. He's a little soft spoken for a coach. I hope that he. Well, I'm not gonna sound negative when I say grow some balls, but grow some balls. Not to say that it doesn't have any, just that his temperament isn't exactly one that screams success. And I think maybe that comes on the cusp of us seeing somebody like Pep, who is very emotionally driven,
Mm-hmm.
wears his heart on the sleeve on and off the pitch.
Yep.
And that's something that we've been accustomed to. So maybe that's a different style of coaching at another level is fine. But in order for us to get the type of results that we're getting out of certain players, I feel there has to be a certain level of tenacity within a coach that has it in them to get in a player's ass to do better.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a part of me that feels like maybe he doesn't really have that because he doesn't even really display that on the pitch. He's very knowledgeable. I can't say that he's not like borderline genius because he is. He's a very, very smart man. I wouldn't say that he's a Kanji smart, but on the cusp. I mean, he's definitely an intellect. If you've ever heard him speak at any capacity, he is very well spoken. Especially the fact that he has like 5 or 6 languages underneath his belt. I do.
Be a solid assistant second guy. He'd be a good solid assistant coach on a team.
Yes. An assistant, a Wanma.
Yes.
A Wanma type.
Yep. I need about time for another rewatch of that show, I think, for myself.
No, I feel dumb because I don't know what you're talking about.
Taste of Athens?
That's a show?
That's a restaurant that Nathan goes to all the time.
Fuck! Damn it! In Tooting.
Yes. Wait a second. We can't get a table.
Damn it, Steve's gone.
Steve is gone. We can't ask.
We can't ask if it's real. Like, what? Do we have Google Maps?
Echevari's back.
He is.
Wearing 30. He's going to join us here very soon. So I'm very excited to see he's going to be joining up, getting some first team run, see how much time he actually gets on the pitch. We'll see when he's ready. That is like next on the list. So we'll get there momentarily, Mr. Stewart.
Yeah, dude.
Needs to meet the great mirror, but not the spitting thing. We're not going to spit on ourselves with the mirror. We need to do a Rebecca
thing that they do, like just as a sign of like aggression. Like it's not the middle finger. We'll just spit on mirrors.
Who knows?
I
So
have questions though.
Very, very excited to see him. He seems very ready and eager to prove himself for Pep and with the team, and wants to be a part of the club badly. So I think we're going to see a lot of good coming from him. So very, very excited to see what he might have coming forward. So
sure. Can we not mention who wore his number last, just to kind of like leave that out of the narrative though? Cool.
Other big piece, double piece was one, we saw Rodrigo doing some ball skills on a video that the club put out on social media. Saw him doing a little juggling, striking a ball. And then it came out, I guess today, from Fabrizio that Rodri could be back on the pitch before the end of the season, according to Pep. So there's a possibility that we might see him by the end of the season and or into the Club World Cup. I'm in two minds on this. One, it makes me incredibly nervous. One, to see him doing what he was doing. And two, that we might be rushing him back. I worry about that dramatically. But at the same time, we have incredibly bright and a strong physio group. So I want to say that none of them would allow him to do these things if he wasn't medically cleared to do so in his normal recovery process. But it still makes me very nervous. So I want to have faith that they're all following the doctor's timeline here. But it was what, September when that happened, and we're in just the beginning of March. That seems very escalated.
It's fucking March.
March 2nd, bro. Like, how'd that happen?
What happened?
So I'm in two minds. I'm like, I love that he might be back sooner. I love that he might be able to help us a little bit quicker, but man, I hope not. Yeah, Chad, it was one of the first couple of games of the season against Arsenal when that happened.
I think it was the third.
So it's only been what, 6 months?
Yeah.
That seems super fast to have him back already at this point. So I'm cautiously optimistic, but also very nervous when I saw the video and the news today that Pep said we might see him before the end of the season.
Yeah.
That makes me very nervous.
Yeah. So, pros, right? He's rehabbing ahead of schedule. That's fine. Right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's a lot of apprehension.
That's the word right there. That's exactly the word.
Let's not ruin a player by sending him back in without absolute certainty he's not going to re-aggravate this again and cause further damage. Because what would it be? We bring in this Nico kid whom we're like, oh, he compares so well with the best CDM in the world. And then we get too excited and we fuck it up. Not just for the competition in the summer, but then going into the beginning of next season. I just, I don't know. For me, it's let's treat our investments like they actually are one.
Mm-hmm.
Again, this is the dehumanization part of this sport, but he is an investment. He is the best at his position currently standing. He actually holds an award for it. So let's treat him like the investment that he is and not push him too much, too fast, just because he feels ready to compete.
You got to protect the player from themselves at times.
Exactly that.
Especially him, because he's competitive as hell. And you can tell it's killing him to see his team struggle without him out there. And he wants to help so bad that he might be like, that's what I'm worried about. It's like he's saying, I feel good, I feel good, just to, yes, I know. Thank you very much.
It's actually mine too. We both squeak. And to be fair, I think we have the same chair.
It's a very similar chair.
It's a very similar chair. These ones that you buy off Amazon,
Yeah.
You have to tighten the bolts like every fucking 2 months. And even when you do that, it still squeaks.
Yep. As soon as I put the damn thing together, it was squeaking this first time I sat on it. So,
yeah.
what can you do? There you go. Same exact squeak too. So I'm ooh, excuse me. Right there with you. The apprehension is real with him. That's the other thing. Like I want to trust that they're not doing that with him, and they're actually like following protocol and rehabilitation processes and all these things. But he's so important to us, obviously, after what we've seen this season. regardless of if we've brought in other players who can fill that role, they can't fill it like him. There's only one Rodri, and I want him.
That could be only one.
Exactly. So I hope for his sake that they're protecting him from himself and not letting him drive this to get him back on the pitch as soon as possible. Take your time. It's okay if you don't get back until the summertime. That's fine.
We know you know what you're doing.
Yes.
Let's pump the brakes a little bit. Let's not everybody get too fucking excited. You know what I mean? Let's pump the brakes on our feelings too, because I think there's going to be a lot of people that are like, "Oh my god, he's back in! I can't wait to see him!" Blah blah blah. We don't need that rhetoric right now, because what I said, what I think will happen, probably will happen then, and we don't want that.
Nope.
We don't want
Chad.
that.
He will be turning 29 at the end of June.
So
He's
we got
28.
a solid 4 or 5 more years of Rodri. Depending on his contract, obviously. So I think he's got what, 3 left on his contract.
I haven't looked. There's a contract button right here.
Excuse me.
Bink. We click one more. See how fast this wants to move. There we go. He signed that 5-year. So he will be a free agent after we have him for 2 more years for sure.
4 years. Okay.
So when he's 30, he'll be 30 when his contract runs out. So he'll be due for an extension here sometime or the course of next season.
Yep. For sure.
The Gooners certainly will, Steve. Absolutely they will, because they're the ones that fucking hurt him to begin with.
Well, we don't play them again for the rest of the season, barring we don't see them in the FA Cup. Or are they out?
Oh, wait. They're out already.
Oh!
So, Stu, let's talk about that FA Cup. We drew Bournemouth away March 29th, so we got a ways to go still. It is a Saturday, so no midweek matches for us there. We have Bournemouth. Aston Villa drew Preston North End. Fulham, the United Slayers, drew Crystal Palace. Nottingham Forest drew Ipswich, and then Brighton gets the winner of tomorrow's match. I forget who's playing tomorrow. But Brighton has them. All of these... Oh, that's Nottingham Ipswich. So Brighton gets the winner of Forest Ipswich tomorrow. Not a murderer's row of teams remaining in the old FA Cup. In theory, on paper, one would think we are the favorites at this point. But
it's been said.
It is not played on paper. It is played on grass. And on grass, we haven't been great consistently all season. So I wouldn't necessarily make us the favorites. By name only, we're the favorites, but performance on the pitch, I think it's wide open. So it's Bournemouth has been playing pretty good ball this season. So there's not a cakewalk by any means. We'll have to be ready to go. But I think we stand a good chance of potentially bringing home some hardware. This lines up very nicely, I think, for us. There's no real heavy hitters. Villa's looked better since bringing in Rashford and Asensio to go up top. Brighton obviously is never a fun trip, and Forest, if they get past Ipswich, has been playing really good ball. So, but there's no Arsenals, there's no Liverpools, there's no big names like that where we potentially could match up against them. We have been knocked out of this competition before by lesser teams, i.e. Wigan back in the day. So can't take any of them lightly, but I do think that the draw itself lines up nicely for us going forward. So I hope that the boys show up for it. But we have this and top 4 to fight for, so it gives us a very clear focus on things to put our energy into. So I'm excited. I think we have a good shot at bringing home the trophy.
Yeah. I think with this being the only trophy that we can obtain at this point in the season, I think Pep's going to go for it. At least I hope he will, the competitive man that he is. Going into this upcoming season, it's not like we're starving for trophies, guys. It's not. If we don't get this one, cool. We'll get the next one. If we get this one, great. It's gonna be a good confidence boost going into Club World Cup, and then going into the beginning of the season. Much like those seasons that have come to pass, I really don't expect for us to be right up to it right at the beginning of the season. I still expect growing pains.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody should get too excited going into next season, knowing that. I think everybody just needs to take a calm Spartan reserve to it going into next season and let one match be one match at a time.
Yep.
Because the more and more we as fans get too far ahead of ourselves, we create lofty expectations. And we, suffice it to say, don't know what this team is quite capable of yet, especially with the ones that we brought in. Have they looked good? Yes. Can they improve? They will. Does it mean it's going to calculate to a title-winning season? We don't know yet. We don't know.
Let them play the games and play them out, and we'll see what happens. No expectations
until there are some very defining moments, and everybody is gelling together correctly, and we seem more cohesive. Let's just one match at a time.
Mm-hmm.
That's all we can do for the rest of the season.
Keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Yeah. So that concludes city and community news. We're actually just the community. I'm just going to drop the community news because we ain't really fucking with the community no more. We just
our community,
right? We just going to stay in our lane, right?
Do our thing.
Do our thing. People who want to work with us, you can contact us to come on your show. We have done more than enough. Bringing people on our show and not getting any reciprocity. So until that happens, just us. Not to mention, we're also getting, if for all of you who don't know, we're getting back into that part of the season where both of our children are playing. So we will be doing more the 7:00 hour, and maybe even later at some points in time. Joe was lucky today. He actually had to travel from where he lives in Maryland down to Williamsburg, which is a solid fucking trip from where he's at. We're going to have a lot more of that going on between the both of us. So potentially we might go on later. Who knows?
Depends on the kiddo's schedule.
Just depends on the kiddo's schedule. And with this coming weekend, actually for us, both of our kids are in the same tournament. So cool. We'll get to hang out. But it does kick off the season where our minds will not be fully engaged in City and everybody else. So there's that.
Suffice it to say, we're both heavily involved in our kiddos' soccer journeys, and we both played sports growing up and know what it's like when people are not there to show up for you and be there to support you. So both of us are very adamant about making sure our kids don't feel the same way we did at times. So for sure, when we can be there for them, we will be there. And that, like Steven said, kiddos come first. And this coming weekend pretty much kicks off the outdoor season. Excuse me, for our kiddos. So they'll be back to normal training sessions twice a week and many a game on the weekends. So,
yep.
Yeah, L for the deadbeats. Yes, absolutely. How people can be deadbeat dads, man. will never understand. Could not ever be me. Being a dad is the best thing I've ever done. Best thing I've ever done is being a padre. So.
Yep, couldn't be me. Let's bring out a little bit, man. You went down to the old Disney.
I see that. Stu needs that tattoo more than me. He's been far more often than I have.
Really?
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
man. Oh man. I was gonna give you shit while you were gone for being a Disney dad. But now that I know that,
him and his lady have made numerous adult trips down there. They recently went, and I think that was the first time the kiddos went. He can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that is the case. But they've been far more. It's the one where the guy has DIS. He'll send it to you.
No, should share the screen.
Are you gonna flash it?
Does it have to be in a tab? Can I just show my notes? Oh, you can press the window.
There we go. That one.
That one.
It is not a Mickey Mouse tramp stamp. No. That shit would have been funny, though. That shit would have been funny.
You got 3 circles to hit, man. 2 ears and the centerpiece.
Boom. But yeah, the vacation was fantastic. It was exactly what we needed, with everything going on outside of life and everything, with my older daughter's transition to a new club happening, and a lot of drama in the soccer, my daughter's soccer life. The team that I assistant coached on with her, we are no longer with said team and are now with a new club. With all that happening, we very much needed an escape. And as soon as you kind of enter the Disney bubble down in Orlando, the thoughts, cares, all those things that you're stressing out about and worrying about just disappear, and you can just escape for 6-7 days and not have to think about all the stresses and things like that. So it came at a perfect time for us, honestly. And then you just kind of get forced into just, quality family time. It was just the 4 of us down there, staying in a little, in a nice, obviously very, very nice hotel room, but 2 beds, 1 bathroom, and then you're spending the entire day together. Like that time you can't really get back. And watching my 13-year-old's face light up still when she sees characters and Disney princesses and things like that, and seeing like that magic and sparkle still there as like a soon-to-be 14-year-old this summer, I was just very excited that she hasn't lost like that little kid in her a little bit, and it's still there. Because as soon as they start getting into that teenage years, sometimes they can be too cool for school for some things, and priority shifting, but seeing that she's still like wide-eyed about things like that, it's great, man. I'm very thankful that I've been able to provide that for the kiddos and for the wife, and really get to spend that quality time. It was great. We got pretty much everything on the list. You do these kind of trips and you check, I want to do this. Pretty much everybody got everything they wanted out of the trip and whatnot. So
good.
Yes, still a Scouser. Yes, I have 2 Scousers in my family now playing for Liverpool FC International Academy.
The minute that fucking city puts a real academy over here, our kids will fucking be in it.
Yeah, not just like doing clinics at indoor sites. So,
right.
Yeah, the key word there for sure is definitely spend. Absolutely.
So, what parks did you guys focus on while you were there?
We did 1 day in each of the 4 parks. We went Animal Kingdom one day, Epcot the next. Took a little break in the middle of the trip, and then hit up Hollywood Studios, and then finished off with Magic Kingdom the last day before we departed. So we got all the parks in rope dropped all of them. So we got there as soon as the parks were opening and stayed until pretty much the nighttime spectaculars and closing times were. So we got very full days in, and everybody maintained their composure the whole time. There was nobody like, no drama, no stress. Nobody was like getting sick. Yeah, thankfully everybody. That's the fun part. Is you're down there, you got to deal with some folks who just don't understand like common courtesy at times. But it's still Disney. Like people like the people who work there are incredibly friendly. Our drivers that took us to and from the airport and everything into the hotel resort, phenomenal, so nice. And then as soon as we get back to BWI, get back to Baltimore, and get into the baggage claim area,
of course,
reality check set in immediately that we were no longer in the Disney bubble, because the luggage starts coming out in the carousel, right, where everybody knows our flights. This is our carousel number 2, whatever it was. Apparently, they needed to switch halfway through to a different carousel.
Halfway through,
bags were already coming out, and dude comes on the loudspeaker announcer saying, Orlando flight, your bags are now, the rest of your bags are going to be coming out on baggage claim 4, which was not far away. It was close by, thankfully. But there were still bags coming out. So people were still standing in front of the original one waiting to collect their bags, because there's still bags coming out. And you don't know if your bag is one of those yet. And homeboy announces it like 7 times and gets the biggest attitude. Orlando flight, I've said it 8 times now. For those who are hard of hearing, this is where your flight bags are going to be. I'm like, definitely back in Baltimore.
Yep.
Definitely back in Baltimore.
Yep. Wow.
I wanted to go over there and ream him so badly, but I was like, you know what? I'm not going to lower myself to this. But it's just crazy.
People get fired for shit like that. Why is that not happening anymore?
It's crazy, dude. I was
that was me on there. The shit can buy.
Mm-hmm.
God bless.
But I was, man, get back to the old DMV and instant reality check that you are no longer on vacation and you are back home. Where the attitudes are prevalent.
I've said it publicly on the internet. I'll say it here. Baltimore is the taint of America. It even looks like that's where it is. If you look at it from a, you gotta tell Colby about negative Baltimore thoughts.
You don't got yet. He posted that as soon as you were saying it was the taint of America. So you guys were mind melding from a distance.
Apparently. But seriously though, if you look at it, right? Like, you know how the lower part of Maryland and Virginia, like that's the sack. And then you go up it all the way, right? And underneath of the sack is called the taint.
And that's right where the Inner Harbor is.
And that's where the Inner Harbor is. So it literally is the taint of America. No. So Disney, somebody, I think it was Stu, said something about Disney. Dude, I've been to Disney. I used to live next to Disney. I would spend my weekends going to downtown Disney. I've taken many of people to Disney. Epcot's the only place I'll go.
That's the GOAT one right there.
That's the only place I'll go.
That's the best one.
I didn't grow up a Disney kid. I had you remember the gold binding books? They were like the Disney short
little golden books.
The little golden books. There it is. I had those. Later, dude. I had those, and I mean, I enjoyed the Peter Pan one a lot. I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
But like watching the movies and stuff like that, like that just wasn't my thing growing up. I was a Tim Burton kid. I was definitely one of the weirdos. That's probably right? I'm a weirdo, right?
Connecting dots. We're connecting dots here.
my golden trip to Orlando was not Disney fueled. It was Universal fueled.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've spent some time at Disney. I know what it's like. I would like to, before Aiden is too old, which is coming up very quickly. I would like to see him enjoy Disney because I
Mhm.
want to. I want to. I selfishly want to see that magic on his face.
Yes. 100%.
I I often wondered what it was like for my parents when they saw me go to Universal for the first time and like see
Mhm.
Nickelodeon Studios and like
Yeah.
get to ride the Back to the Future ride and
Mhm.
Jaws and Earthquake and King Kong and like the original Universal Studio rides.
Yeah,
And
the OGs.
I remember how magical it was for me. And then of course, when I worked or I lived down in Orlando, I actually worked at Universal Studios for a time. That was one of my jobs. Um, I worked at the surf shop. As soon as you come down the long fucking moving walk, there's a
Yep.
movie theater to the right. Right next to it is a surf shop. I forget what it's called. I worked there for like 8 months.
Mhm.
I was also working for a party company as well, which was pretty neat. Um, yeah, I spent a lot of my time there. That's I'm I'm interested what it'll be like now because they've changed so much, and they've not changed so well. No, change is a good word too. They've changed so much, and they've added so much. Like all the
Yeah.
original rides from when we were kids, gone.
Oh yeah.
No Terminator, no Jaws, no King Kong, no Earthquake, no Back to the Future. And that was the best one. Why wouldn't you leave Back to the Future? That's a
Right?
classic.
Mhm. People still love that movie to this
People
day.
still love that movie. And like everybody wants to fly in a fucking DeLorean.
Who wouldn't?
How do you not just update that?
I'm looking forward to when Epic Universe opens up down there this summer and they have Nintendo World and all
Yeah.
that shit. That's going to be real dope.
Yeah.
Very cool. I'm very much looking forward to that.
I just saw that. Harry Potter Colby. No, I hate Harry Potter.
That's me.
Yeah,
Harry Potter Joe.
he's the pothead.
Yes.
What's Hagrid?
That's the big guy that greets Harry and brings him into to Hogwarts the first time. He's a groundskeeper at Hogwarts. Turns into the magical creatures teacher.
I just called myself out, everybody. I don't know fuck shit about Harry Potter.
And that's okay.
And that's okay. Yeah.
Excuse me.
No, I'm really happy that you got to spend all that time down there with her. I know that, especially with the stuff going on with the team that's been a wait. I'm sure coming back to some of the drama that you told me about was not fun.
Already starting.
Yeah.
Already starting back up.
Yeah. But yeah, it was. I was happy to see you get away. I'm not gonna lie though, I missed you very much. I didn't speak to you for like 7 straight days.
I didn't answer a lot of text messages, and
You shouldn't have.
Correct. And to your very large credit, did not you understand that, unlike a lot of other folks. So I appreciated that from you very much.
When you said you're vacating, bye, bud. In the most respectful way possible.
Right? Yes. Exactly. No, that's real talk, man. Like that, people go on vacation, and that's what you're supposed to. You're supposed to be focused on what's around you and not what's going on.
Vacating my life.
Yes.
Don't fuck with it.
Yeah. Exactly.
If we were going to go on vacation together,
different story.
Different story.
Like we went to Columbus.
Exactly. We didn't actually get to answer Stu about Club World Cup. At this rate, for me, Club World Cup does not seem feasible to go see City.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a lower match at Audi Field, but to go see any of City's matches or any of the later round matches,
it'd be difficult.
It's going to be very, very difficult, especially with We've got a really big end of year tournament or end of season tournament in Harrisburg. For a lot of people that know about that Harrisburg tournament, it's one of the bigger ones on the East Coast. So we're going to be putting a lot of time into that being one of our vacations. And then, you know, if there's any shot of me getting over to England and actually seeing a game live and in person in the coming seasons, it's going to have to be I sacrifice something. And Club World Cup and potentially World Cup are going to have to be my sacrifices.
And Chad made a good point too. The games are like midweek, so you got to like, it's not like just take off on a Friday kind of thing.
Yeah,
people got to like just miss in the middle of like multiple days in the middle of the week. It's tough, even though Philly's not too far, but like it's still a lot that goes into it. So I feel you.
Yeah. I mean,
I
would love to come over or to come up to like I said before, come up there and just tailgate and show, if there are people that are coming over from Manchester, what an American tailgate's like, and be that facilitator. But like, do I really want to spend $80 to go stand out in a parking lot where I could spend no money at all and watch it in the air conditioning?
Right. Yep.
Like exactly. I can, middle of the week, if it's good timing, I mean, I can just come down there and watch it with you.
That would be more fun for me anyway.
Exactly.
Game in Atlanta is a Sunday.
Yeah,
then you got an airfare, and I ain't driving all the way to Atlanta, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's an 8-hour haul. If I'm coming down to Greenville and I'm hanging out with you, that would be worth it. But I'm not. I fucking don't like Atlanta either. I really. That's why it was one of the games that was just not on my radar. Food's good. There's some good food in Atlanta, but I don't like Atlanta's temperament. Yeah, I don't like it. It's hot and they're hot.
Yes. Steve's got one coming for there. There it is.
Yeah, I mean, it really does. I mean, it's my biological grandmother lives on the west side of Atlanta. There's also that. I just but right. So we've got what's our next match? Nottingham Forest.
Saturday, right?
Is it Forest?
Let me see. Fixtures. Yes, Saturday.
Forest Way.
7:30 a.m. our time.
Fan-freaking-tastic. I hope that my kid's game isn't like at 9 fucking o'clock in the morning.
Elliot's first game Saturday is at 8 a.m.
All right. We'll be watching late.
Yes.
We'll be watching late.
8 a.m. start time for Ellie, and it's at that Covenant Park place that you've been to before, that we were at last time you guys came by and saw us.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So,
yeah.
At least we're first, which means I know I'll be getting a good parking spot for the day.
True.
Because our next one isn't until noon, so we'll have like 3 hours or 2.5 hours or so to kill in between.
Yeah. Guys, we're coming up on daylight savings time. Holy shit.
I know, right?
What the fuck?
Losing an hour of sleep, but we get more sunlight, which is very good.
There's still talk of him wanting to take away the daylight savings time. I'm for it.
It's long overdue to get rid of.
I'm for it. I'm very much for it. So, and then after that, I mean, we got Brighton at home, and then we're on a 2-week
international break, right?
Well, almost 2-week international break. St. Paddy's Day really is the jump off for that, really.
Yep.
Oh, man. Yeah, so we will be back Wednesday, just to bullshit a little bit. Obviously, there's not going to be much to talk about. We're just going to be fucking around a little bit.
Tuesday or Thursday?
I'm sorry. Fuck. So we're going to be changing our schedule up a little bit. We're going to be changing our schedule up a little bit. Wednesdays are going to be gone. They will be divvied up between Tuesdays and Thursdays going forward due to Joe's kids' practice schedule. They both practice on Mondays and Wednesdays, so that
back
will,
to back. So
yeah.
I'll be at the field from 5 o'clock until probably 8:30.
Yeah.
Before Jordan's team practiced on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so
Yeah.
I would be free by this time on Wednesdays, but now they're back to back, same day. So
we'll be going Tuesday, Thursday, and going forward, potentially in the next season. That's probably how we'll stick with it, especially if we are within the Champions League formats.
we have midweek matches coming hot and heavy.
Where we have midweek matches. If we have for Tuesday, great. We get an automatic live react out of that. But if they do fall on a Wednesday, then we will be going live on Thursdays.
Yep.
So just a little peep in on that. But until Wednesday, when we come back and chew your ear off about probably absolutely nothing, make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe, make sure you hit the notification bell, make sure that you're following us on social media. If you're not, you're a dumbass. I'm just kidding. You're not really a dumbass.
We got jokes.
We got, yeah. I just didn't know what to say right there, and I thought it sounded funny in my head, and I didn't say it funny. So I apologize. I don't mean to offend. If you got a little offended, I love you. It's okay. No, really. Until Wednesday, I'll leave you with because we gotta win. Because we gotta win. No, I didn't fix it. I didn't fix it. Hey.